Hi everybody, it's Cookie Lou in Arizona. Good morning. It's 10:45 and I have a few minutes before I have to leave for an eye doctor appointment. And I just thought I'd come in here and see if I can do a quick video in answer to a question a friend of mine had the other day. My friend in California, which many of you I'm sure know, is Zen Maiden. And her name is Melanie, and she had a VSG surgery some years back, about 5 years like me. And she had asked me a question at my last video that she had viewed about what my daily life is like now that I am a duodenal switch patient, and the comparisons between my life as a VSGer and now a de-esser. So I told her that I would make a video and kind of go through a couple of things to answer her question about that. But before I start that, first and foremost, I want to let everyone know that what I do with every doctor's visit, and especially with every surgical procedure I have, is I get a surgical report from the surgeon, from the hospital. After you have any kind of procedures, they come in and they tell you, oh, this was great, that wasn't so great. You're under anesthetic, you're not really listening to every word that they're saying, or it's not registering. So it's always good that after you come back down to earth and you're healing and you have less pain and you are more clear-headed, to go upon discharge or after back to the hospital records department and get yourself the surgical notes. This will let you know everything the surgeon saw and did during your surgery. So there will be no questions. And it's always good to have this report on hand in your file cabinet in case you need to show it to another doctor someday for whatever reason. My situation was pretty much basic except at one point. This report will explain everything about my consent, how they explained everything to me about the risks and the things that could happen that could endanger my life, the complications that could go on, and that in spite of all this knowledge, I still agreed to do the surgery, and that explains that I did have a VSG several years back and that it was unsuccessful for me, and I was still considered an obese woman, and that I qualified for a conversion surgery to help me get down to a more normal weight. So that's pretty much what this talks about, and it tells you all the medical mumbo jumbo about what he did step by step. What he cut, where he cut it, how he cut it, what he stitched it with, what happened here, what happened there, and then he gets down to a place in the operation where there was a little bit of a complication. And what he noted here was, unfortunately, when we visualize the stomach and the duodenum, the distal end of the duodenal stump was ischemic. And this cannot be used as an anastomosis. What that meant was that when he looked at my caloric valve, which is attached to the end of the sleeve, end of the stomach sleeve, on one end, and on the ileum, which is like the small intestine, beginning of the small intestines on the other end. The end of the ileum, small intestines, and the portion of the caloric valve was ischemic. Ischemic means a suppression of blood and oxygen, leading to tissue necrosis. It's a hypoxia and cellular injury, causing necrotic tissue, and it dies off. So what he said he saw when he got to that point was that whole area was gray and purple and dying off. That was the place he needed to cut to make the anastomosis, which means connection. And he says, if I left it in there the way it was, or try to repair it in any way, and continued on with the duodenal switch procedure, he says, I didn't feel that it would hold up. It would put you at a higher risk of leak, which is deadly, and which was my #1 concern in my conversations with him. Make sure, Dr. Schuster, that there is no leaks. I don't double check, triple check, quadruple check, put extra stitches and staples if you have to, but make sure that that area is completely safe before you close me up. So he said it was in my thoughts to just remove all that necrotic tissue. It was not healthy, and be done with it, and then proceed forward. Because if I didn't do that, then the whole surgery would have went in the crapper, and you would have had a leak, and it wouldn't have been a safe and secure connection, and best to just get rid of it. So he said, my plan at this point was to warn the patient about dumping syndrome and steatorrhea, and also marginal ulcerations, and perform a gastroileoectomy, which means they removed it. I then divided the lateral left portion of the terminal ileum and stomach using serial firings of the endogia blue staple loads. Stomach and distal ileum were removed in a retrieval bag. So what they did was they cut it out. He also, at one point, because he said that my stomach was still quite large, it was long and it was large at the belly of the sleeve. So he had, which is right where this problem was as well. So he trimmed that down and sutured it up and stitched it and removed that extra portion of the sleeve that he felt was bigger than it needed to be, along with the pyloric valve and the portion of the ileum that was damaged by the ischemia. And he put it in a bag and he pulled it out. And then he continued with the surgery. He took the ileum, which was now somewhat removed, and the pyloric valve, of course, went with that. And he took the ileum and he attached it to the end of my sleeve. And in the middle of that, which was the pyloric valve, was no longer there. The pyloric valve, for those of you who don't know, is a little restrictive valve that will open up with 1/8 of an inch at a time and slowly let the contents of your stomach out into your small intestines, so that when you eat something, it kind of hangs out in the stomach area, you know, and mixes with digestive juices. And then once everything starts to get a little bit more digested, the valve, the pyloric valve, will open up and let that food out and go into the small intestines and then into the large intestines. And it continues with the digestive process. So now I no longer had that little restrictive valve. And so pretty much what I eat will linger in the stomach for a small amount of time and then whoosh right into my small intestines. It doesn't really hang out much in the stomach. And then once it gets into the small intestines, which is now like 100 meters, which is like 3 feet compared to I don't know how many feet, 25, 30, you have, that's where your malabsorption comes in. So anyway, that's enough of that. I'm trying my best to explain it to you. Now, the surgery comparisons, like of course, when I first had my surgery in Mexico with Dr. Mando Hoya, and they just took the sleeve out. It was a piece of cake. There was hardly no problems, no bruising, no gas, no real pain. This is a more intense operation. There's a lot more going on internally because they're pulling up on these, they're measuring out the intestine, and they're clipping it, and then they dissect it, and they, switch things around. And they do it in the top by where your stomach is, where that ileum is, and then they do it again in the lower portion of the belly. So you have two anastomosis areas, or two new connective areas, which changes your biology a lot. And your anatomy now is not working the way God had intended, but it does help with weight loss. So that's what he did. He had to take out the ischemic portions of the tissue that he found. The sleeve was revised and made smaller. However, I did not notice any major restriction. Like when I did the first time when he did the sleeve, everything is so tight you could eat 2 spoons of food and then you can't eat anymore. I felt with the sleeve, when I first had the sleeve, and even after I healed from that, situations where I would have an ouch moment. Either I would take 1 or 2 too many bites, or sometimes I'd have a totally empty sleeve and be drinking some water or some coffee, and all of a sudden I feel like, ow, everything is so tight. The sleeve can be very unpredictable. Sometimes it feels like a bottomless pit, and you could eat 20 ounces of salad, and another time you can just eat a small portion of dense beef or dense meat, and just feel so full you can't have another bite. So what I found with the DS stomach now, with my sleeve conversion, was I don't push it though. I don't put myself to a point where I get to that maybe I'm going to get an ouch moment. I just kind of feel somewhat I've had enough, and I measure out my food, of course, and I pretty much eat that. I do eat more times a day with the DS. Maybe because I don't have the caloric valve anymore and food doesn't stay in my stomach as long, and I feel a little need for a few more bites of food, but that's all it really is. I'm not sitting down eating another whole meal. I might go into the refrigerator and eat that little portion of leftover tilapia that I might have in there with a few carrots, finish that off. Or I'd have a few spoons of cottage cheese, just to kind of fill that little space that needs filling. Food tolerance differences that I find with the sleeve are this, a lot of them. With the sleeve, there was no consequence. I could eat anything I wanted, as much as I wanted. I never got any, I never got gas, I never got loose stools, I never got any kind of dumping syndrome. I mean, I could eat candy, I could eat ice cream, I could eat cake, I could eat cookies, I could eat popcorn till the cows come home. With the DS, you can't do that. You will have immediate reaction to excessive carbohydrates, refined carbohydrates, and sugar. With me, I don't dump like an RMY personal dump where you have to lie down because you feel like everything is just spinning and you're going to throw up and you feel weak and you have to lie down for an hour and a half until this passes. I don't have that. I get gassy. Really gassy. And I say the first 6 weeks of the surgery, I was extremely gassy all the time. I mean, bowel movements and urination and gas releases was nonstop, pretty much. Maybe 6 bowel movements a day, 6 or 7 urinations a day. And of course, with this daily situation, I was losing weight, very consistently. I like going to the bathroom a couple of times a day because it makes everything feel empty and flat and clean. Now that I'm in my 9th week, 10th week, starting my 10th week, I think Monday, it's the bowel movements have slowed down to maybe 3 a day, and the urinations are a little less as well. But I'm still pretty much losing weight in a very comfortable fashion. I can't eat salad the way I used to. I went out with a friend of mine for lunch and I ordered grilled chicken salad, and I think it was a 16-ounce plate. I ate like half of it, which I probably would have eaten only eaten half of it before the DS, and took the rest home. And then at night, I had the other half for dinner. The next day, I was having an explosion like you wouldn't believe it. Oh, God. This salad is whooshing right out of me. So I know that I have to eat a moderate amount of salad to be safe. Anything more than a moderate amount of salad, I'm going to have an explosion. So as you continue to eat more foods, introduce more foods into the daily process, you will know what works well, what doesn't. Sometimes if something doesn't work well, in 6 months or so you can try it again and maybe it will work well. But I'm still getting plenty of food in, no problem. I eat salmon, tilapia, chicken. I'm still having a lot of soup. I have had a little pasta. A couple bites of pasta won't hurt me. A whole, let's say, cup of it probably will give me a looser stool because you have, again, too much carbs going in at one time. So you have to just kind of play it by ear and see what works and what doesn't work. Digestive changes and weight loss. The first 6 weeks, like I said, there was a lot of bowel movements, a lot of urination, and a lot more weight loss. As that subsided into a lesser amount, my weight loss subsided as well. Still losing pretty much. Let me see. I think I write everything down every time I weigh myself. Let me see if I can read the calendar and move the camera. Hold on. Okay, for instance, March 27th. No, March 4th. My weight was 245. Then on the 9th it was 243. On the 13th it was 241.1. Then St. Patty's Day came around, I ate a lot of potatoes. Well, I mean, for me it was a lot of potatoes. Often. I had little tiny boiled potatoes with my cabbage and I ate that. So I kind of went up to 242. Guess it was one too many potatoes. And today, the 23rd, I'm down to 240.4. So there is a consistent weight loss that I really can't complain about because I certainly don't want to lose, 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 pounds a week. So the way I am losing a few pounds here and there, I'm happy with that. The scoop on poop. I'm going to direct you to another de-esser, Melanie. Her handle is MelanieSlicedThinner, and I had asked her before surgery about the situation about the flatulence, the increased gas, and the smelly gas, and the smelly poops, and the loose stools, and she kind of pretty much reviewed it with me, her experiences with me, and then she made a video, the scoop on poop. I went, oh, she made a video for me. I'm going to refer you to Melanie's video, the scoop on poop, how your poop changes after you do a dental switch surgery. She does it really well. And I am not on iron pills. Those people that are on iron pills, iron will bind up your stool a little bit more. So I think patients that are on iron pills probably don't have a whole lot of problems with loose stools unless they go crazy with the carbohydrates, which will loosen up your stool. So anyway, check out Melanie's The Scoop on Poop. Last topic of conversation is vitamins. This is what I put my vitamins in. I did a video on this about my container that I purchased at Amazon.com and about the type of vitamins that I take. And you can refer to that. Vitamins, vitamins, vitamins. Pretty much I take a chewable C. A little pill here is for my hair and nails, which, by the way, that's another thing. VSG at this point in time, I was losing hair like crazy. Not happening this time. I'm very fortunate. I take my biotin twice a day. I have a high potency multi, and I take 2 of them 3 times a day, and I take, that's in the morning, and then in the afternoon I'll take liquid B12, I take a folic acid, I take a chewable D3, I take, and this is all dry formula chewable liquid for DS, so you can't take any gel type or oily based vitamins. This is the vitamin E. And then in the evening, I take the same thing with a, what is this thing? Niacin? I forgot what it is. I didn't write it down. Anyway, something that the doctor told me to take. And that's it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. With the vitamin C, 13, about maybe 15 or 16 a day, which is not that bad. There are people that take a lot more. Also, here is my calcium bag. This is the best way, and I got this from MelanieSlicedThinner as well. Great way to find, to take your calcium. I kind of do a 10, I space it out 10, 2, 4, 6, 10, 10, 2, 4, 6, and 10. 10, 2, 4, and 6. And I make a little packet. I take 1 packet a day. This is my 10 a.m., my 2, my 6 p.m., and my 10 p.m. And this is UpCal D, powdered calcium citrate with vitamin D. And you just rip it open, put the powder in a couple of ounces of water and drink it down. It has a little bit of a sweet taste. It doesn't taste bad at all. Or I follow Melanie's method. I just cut it open. I put it in my mouth like that. Drink the water. It dissolves instantly and done. It's done. Your calcium is down. This is the hardest thing to remember to take, and I kind of put my phone on alarms to remind me when to take the calcium. And there's been a time or two when I might have forgot one, like at night, the 6 o'clock one. But anyway, that's what I'm doing. And you just got to prepare. You got to prepare your vitamins. You have to make sure that you take them to make sure your vitamin levels are good, because your vitamins slip and then you have a problem. Energy-wise, I feel good in a lot of ways, and then there are times when I feel totally drained. If I've been out and about too much, I get kind of tired, and then I say, well, you know what, I think I'm supposed to go home and eat something. Or, gee, you know what, it's an hour past my vitamin, and maybe I'm not to take the vitamin, eat a little something, and I feel fine. Everything just lifts, energy comes back, and I feel good. So that's pretty much it, my friends. This was a long video. I might have to redo it and shorten it. I don't know. But anyway, that's my daily life on a DS. And it is a lot different from the VSG. But I'm also getting some very good results that I'm happy with. So that's it for now. So long, everyone. Bye.